lovely computer people, and welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market, where today we're looking at these unique specimens here. Now, there are four of them because I have four on hand. Some of them are left over from this year's plant sale, and to answer what they are, these are some kind of lemon drop pepper. Now, most of the year I thought they were just super hot, and then they produced fruit and said, nah, fam, not quite. Lemon drops are about the potency of a cayenne, roughly speaking. Now, their scientific name is Capsicum baccatum, with the specific variety of lemon drop, which is also known as Aji Limon or Aji Lemon, depending on who you ask. They are in the Solanaceae family, which is the nightshade family, which includes, of course, deadly nightshade, datura, a few dangerous other plants, but also some really good ones like goji berry, eggplant, of course, peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, things like that, wonderberries, so forth, so on. And the specific epithet, baccatum, means berry-like, which refers to, I'm assuming, the shape of the fruit when they were first cataloged. Nowadays, we've bred them away from that, and they're not exactly rounded or berry-shaped anymore, but we don't judge. Baccatum sounds fun, too. But anyway, they are originally native to Peru and are classified as an heirloom as they've been around for quite some time. And this is an heirloom walking through the screen that is a menace. He wanted to be in here today. He wanted to be on this episode. But anyway, he's gonna... his big old butt's just off screen. You can't see that. But anyway, in USDA zones 5 through 11, they can be grown as an annual. However, they are classified as a perennial in 9 through 11. So, as a perennial, they are considered a short-lived perennial, meaning anywhere from 2 to 5 years, usually verging on 3 to 4. They mature from seed within 100 days, which is tricky because the hotter the peppers you get, the longer it takes for them to mature, and the less likely you're going to get fruit the first year, which means usually when you're doing super hots, you have to have some kind of overwintering facility or a cloning system. Their soil pH preferences are 5.6 to 7.5, and I found through trial and error that most of the hotter peppers, including these guys, are fine with regular potting soil as long as it's amended with a lot of something like chicken manure or compost. When they're young, they can be outcompeted by weeds, but once they're up and running, the weeds don't stand a chance. They form this nice V-shaped canopy, which is a trademark of a lot of members of the nightshade. They form a sort of V-shape. In fact, you can see it here. Well, that's not really on screen. Let's see if we can shimmy it over. Here we go. Come on, little buddy. Woo, doggy. Yep, central stem, V-shape. They all do that, and they form a canopy. And in this case, the fruits dangle. And that's what they do. Now then, they prefer full sun, though in the southeast, like North Carolina, I always recommend you give them morning sun and some afternoon shade for best results. They do like having a mulch, so there is that to consider. Beyond that, their height can be 20 to 24 inches. However, that's in one growing year. They're much bigger if you overwinter them successfully. In fact, if you overwinter them successfully, the next year they'll start producing fruit and flowers earlier and more copiously. So it might be, again, wise to consider your winter facilities. You can overwinter them at about this size with one repot, so that is an option. Now, their width is 22 inches, which again is first year. Now, I have found a bunch of alternate names, one of which I've mentioned, Aji Limon, also Aji Lemon, but I've also found one which is Ahi Limon, with an I, Limon. And there are plenty of others, and in fact, there are alternate flavors like Aji, I want to believe it was called Aji Orange, with extra phlegm, and there are a few other sub-variants on it. I go back to Aji, this one, Lemon Drop, because I can find the seed the most easiest. You can find it in the most catalogs, and it's guaranteed to be the for real deal. I need an explosion sound effect in there. Anyway, here's some facts for you. And I mentioned they were like a cayenne. Well, their heat level is 30,000 to 50,000 Scoville units, which again is similar to a cayenne. They are often mistaken for a plant called Aji Limo, which is actually Capsicum chinense, a different member of the pepper family. They're not the same. Dun dun dun. Now here's the fun part. Personally, I like to put these guys in chili because they're not too hot and they're just right, and they add a little bit of a citrusy zip. Now, of course, they're not going to be the same as putting in like orange seasoning or something. It's not the same, but it adds a little extra to it, you know? In general purposes, I will pickle these. I will utilize them a bunch of different ways. Sometimes I will slice them and put them on a pizza, a frozen pizza, if I want something extra special. You know, that's just how it goes. But in general, growing these guys is really easy. The thing you got to watch out for indoors is aphids and spider mites, because they will get one or both. The aphids are little green sucking insects, which, boy, do they suck. Dirty joke. Anyway, they're awful insects that basically drain the life out of your plants and make the leaves curl. And they can be killed by just about any insecticide or rubbing alcohol or, you know, insecticidal soap, homemade or otherwise, real easy. They're usually put there in this climate by ants, which they're out there in the yard waiting. Yeah, and so what'll happen is the ants will find your plant in your sunroom or whatever and bring the stupid aphids in and then farm them for the honeydew that comes out of their butts, which is disgusting. But that's nature. Anyway, spider mites are usually, you'll see fine webbing between the leaves, and that's something you should use a systemic or a contact spray insecticide for, and it's usually a humidity problem that inspires them. And if you can catch it early, you can nuke them. Indoors, they're real easy. There are no poisonous parts, as evidenced by the lab cats who have chewed on or tried to chew on everything I've ever brought in. The biggest offender is actually sitting in my lap off camera. He's like, "No, this is about me." But anyway, and beyond that, realistically, as I said, you don't need special soil. The one thing you do have to keep up with is during the growing season is regular fertilizer. I mean, like if it's liquid and it's moderate strength, every other week to every week during the growing season, which is usually April through September, if you're trying to really produce. These guys don't dry well because they lose their color and turn black. So air drying is not... Oh, Mischief, what are you doing off camera, you nut? You nut? He's like rolled over and hit the camera. Anyway. Mischief. He's like, pay attention to me, don't make films. Anyway, so as I was saying, yeah, they dry on a drying rack. They're going to turn black and not be very pretty. So I would recommend a dehydrator or your oven for dehydrating the fruit, or freezing. Freezing keeps the color, or canning keeps the color. So those are your options. So beyond that, that's pretty much lemon drop peppers in a nutshell. I've done peppers before, but I've never covered this specific variety, and I grow it every year, and therefore it's worth talking about. And I just wanted to talk to you about it. So, if you like this episode or have any thoughts about lemon drop peppers, please put them in the comment section. If you like this episode, please hit like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. The blog is still chugging out content, so there's that to hit up. And as always, folks, thanks for watching, and keep them growing.